Hi, good morning. Oh, I've got it on the wrong screen. There we go. There we go. Oh, been a challenge to get online lately. I think I might have a computer virus because my computer doesn't want to start or it doesn't want to connect to the internet. And it's always something. So anyway, good morning and welcome. I'm glad you're here in my craft room. My name is Sue at Snake River Stamping, and I'm really happy that you're here today. We're going to do a fun card today. It's a little bit complicated, but not real complicated. It's a fun fold, and I think you'll really enjoy it. We're going to be using Thoughtful Journey paper, which has been around for a little while, but is still in I think it's in the online store. But I have links for you. If you're on YouTube watching me there, all my links are below me. If you're on Facebook, all my links are above me for all the products that I will be sharing with you today. So again, welcome. I was going to ask you, what techniques or styles do you enjoy using specifically for your summer themed cards? Today, my bay window card reminds me of summers we used to go visit my great aunt, you know, something like that, and she would welcome us into her home, and it had many bedrooms, and I thought it was such a grand home. And looking back on it now, I realize, she was just trying to support herself, take care of herself by taking in boarders and cooking and cleaning for them. And she was an older woman, and now I realize it must have been for her. But this card, bay window card, reminds me of her and her home because she had bay windows in her home in San Francisco, and she had a really pretty view of the ocean and things up on the hill where she lived. So I'm going to turn the camera down and make a couple of announcements and share a couple things with you, and then we will get started right away. I'm going to try to keep my camera square today, because last week I noticed after I watched it, I wasn't very squared up. So what did I do with my announcements that I had for today? Because I thought I pulled those out. Oh, there they are. Okay. Not to fear, in the box. July specials. This is our last week in July. Next Monday will be August, and they will change a little bit. You always, for your minimum order of $20, you start earning Stampin' Rewards, and you get 10% Stampin' Rewards beginning at a $20 order. From me, for a $40 order, you start earning some card kits. You get 4 cards, and you get, of course, your Stampin' Rewards. I'm going to share the cards with you in just a moment. For a $50 order, you get your card kits, and you get a brand new package of gems, and of course your Stampin' Rewards. And for a $60 order, you get the card kits, the gems, and I have a special PDF with a video link for you on how to complete the card. You don't get the supplies to make the card, but you get the PDF and the link to make the cards, plus of course your Stampin' Rewards. My card kits for July are these. You're going to get 2. They're going to be the same style, but you're going to get 2 with the Impressions of Bloom, and you're going to get 2 with the Kintsugi. They might be different colors. It just depends. I'm starting to run out of my favorite colors. But they'll all be from these sets. The Impressions of Bloom and the Imperfections set. So you get 4 cards all together, all the stuff to make them. Remember, you have to have your own stamps and ink. I can die cut things for you, and I cut all the paper and everything. But you do have to have your own stamps and your own ink and your own adhesive, things like that. So, and most card makers have all of those things. So those are my card kits, and next week for August they will change. I will have new card kits, and I'm really excited about those card kits because I am building them around the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. And the cool thing is I can emboss for you. And so I will be doing embossing with this embossing folder. You can see how pretty it is. And you're going to get some two-tone cardstock, a couple cards with two-tone cardstock. You're going to get one with metallic and then one with white, where you I'll have a little video that goes along with it that shows you a few techniques that you can use to make these cards, and I'm working on those right now to make those. But I'm really excited about this card kit because then you get a nice sampling to see what this embossing folder can do, and maybe you would like to include this in your own collection. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous embossing folder and can do so many things. So I'm excited about my card kits for next month, beginning next Monday, which is August 1, 2, 3, let's see, what is it? August 4th, yeah. August 4th, next Monday. Okay, I just wanted to remind you about the class I did last week using Perfectly Pairs. And I'm probably going to do some more card classes on this because this was just such a cool, cool bundle. We made these 4 cards last Monday using the Perfectly Pairs, and they turned out so well. I cut the pairs out of the paper on these 3 cards, but I showed you how to stamp these pairs and make them a little 3-dimensional by using 2 different colors, and those turned out really good on that one. So maybe you would like to go back and look at that video from last Monday and take a look at that bundle for Perfectly Pairs. I have all that stuff linked in that video too. So today we are going to do these bay window cards. Did I have other announcements? Oh yeah, reminder about Paper Pumpkin. Subscribe to Paper Pumpkin by the 10th of the month and you get to join Paper Pumpkin, which is fun. Okay. So, bay window cards. This was the first one that I made, and it has some folds and things. I did a few things wrong on this one, but I figured it out, and I'm going to tell you the secrets now today on making these. And we're going to be focusing on using the Thoughtful Journey paper, which most of these cards have. One of them I did a different paper, and I'll show you that one. But Thoughtful Journey is a 6x6 designer series paper. There are 12 designs. You get 4 of each design, so you get a total of 48, which is a lot of paper. And sometimes you need the big paper, but most of the time you don't need big paper. So on the front of all of these, they have it's a painting type of thing, like a watercolor painting. And then on the back, they'll have just something more subtle that you can use for backgrounds, you can use for the inside of your cards, lots of different things. And so I'm just going to show you some of these. I'm going to show you these 12 designs. And remember, you get 4 of each of them. I really like that one. I made a card out of this one. I like that one. And I've linked all the colors too that are in this paper, so you can see if maybe you have some of these colors in your repertoire of cardstock. So they use a variety of colors and techniques. You can just see how beautiful these papers are. Very, very natural, very outdoorsy. So it could be, you know, feminine, masculine, whatever you needed. They're really, really well suited to sympathy cards. You can make them birthday cards, you can make them whatever you want. But they're really pretty. They've got, you know, this one has a lot of Petunia pop in it, and just, it's very beautiful. And you can see the watercoloring technique that the artist used. These are all Stampin' Up! Artists, people that work for Stampin' Up! Full-time, that create all these beautiful papers and paintings. And then, like I said, on the back, they have much more subtle, watercolory, you know, background type papers, or even foreground if you want them to be. I mean, it's up to you, but they're just really pretty. I really like that one. So those are the papers that we're going to be using today. And I'm also going to be using a few things from Prairie Grass, which I did a few weeks ago. So we're going to be making a sympathy card today, and we're going to use a little bit of some of the sentiments and a little bit of the Prairie Grass stamp on this card today. So this card stands for display. You can see from this angle how it opens. And you go to the inside, and this was one of my mistakes, is I stamped over here in the corner, and then you have to put a piece of paper here up on dimensionals so that you can slip this under. So anyway, I fixed that on my other cards, and didn't stamp in the corner where I shouldn't have. And I decided I didn't like the square as much as I liked a circle on this card, because everything is real rectangular on this card. So the other ones that I did, I used, this is Thoughtful Journey paper, and I put the circle on, and I thought the circle looked better. And we're going to be cutting the paper in order and keeping it in order so that the scene, even though it's cut up, is continuous in this. And then I remembered to stamp a little bit to the left so that I had room for the part that slips under to make it reminds you of a bay window, is why it's called bay window cards. Okay. So I have a couple more to show you later. We're going to get started. Oh, I wanted to share this with you. I got some happy mail from my customer, Babe. She won my last drawing, and she sent me this adorable card from the little bee set that we have right now. And I love this card. I love the colors. I love the little bees she's got popping out. And I just thought she did an adorable job. So thank you, Babe, for sending me that thank you card. I appreciate it. And I hope you're enjoying your embossing folder that you won. Okay, today you'll start with trying to keep all my pieces and parts straight here. You'll start with a piece of cardstock. Now remember, I pick my DSP first, and I picked this one, and it has Pretty Peacock in it. It also has Wild Weed in it, and it has Boho Blue in it. I could have picked any of those colors, but I really wanted to pull out the Pretty Peacock. I like that color. It has Mossy Meadow in it, but this is the one the color I wanted to pull out. So that's why I chose Pretty Peacock. And you need 4 1/4 by 11 of Pretty Peacock. I have this one scored, but I am going to try to score one for you and show you how to do that today. So we start with that, and if you want to write these down, you have to make quite a bit of scores to make this bay window. The first score is at 3/8 of an inch. and I'm going to show you a little trick with that. 1 7/8, 3 5/8, 5 1/8, and 5 1/2. Those are the scores that we're going to make our bay window card. Now, I'm not going to bend these because it's easier to glue the paper on when it's flat and then bend it and score it. I found that out doing all these cards I made. So those are your scores, and I'm going to try to successfully score this one. Now, you can score, I'm going to score most of them going this way. And you can score your first one at 3/8 going this way. But it was a little hard for me to handle that way, to hold on to it. And so 3/8 is just 1/8 less than 4/8, which is a half, right? So I'm going to use the right side of my trimmer. And I know this is sideways, but I don't on this table have enough room to turn it the other way. So I'm going to go 3/8, which is 1/8 less, and then I'm going to turn my paper so I can do the rest of them. I'm going to push my cutting blade all the way out of the way. I'm just going to be using the lighter blade, which is my scoring blade, to make this first score at 3/8 of an inch. Now, I want the rest of them to go this way, so I'm carefully turning my paper around because now it's a little bit easier for me. I still have to put some things out of the way because I just have a few too many things on this desk. And my next score is at 1 7/8. And so that's just 1/8 less than 2 inches. And I score at 1 7/8. Remember, I turned it back around. So now 3 5/8. 5/8 is just 1/8 more than a half, because a half, of course, is 4/8. So 3 5/8. Then 5 1/8. And then 5 1/2, which is my card in half. And I believe I got them all right. Okay, so I just have to turn this around because the scores, oh, it's really hard to see. You can see a little bit when I turn it. The scores need to go to the right. Okay, and I can fold this one. Oops, that's not the halfway. This is halfway. You can fold that one and just look at the halfway mark. But I really want to keep it flat. I think I'm going to use this one. I really want to keep it flat to put my paper on. So, but before I do that, I'm going to cut my Thoughtful Journeys. I don't need 6 by 6. I only need 5 1/2 by 4. So I want the up and down part. This has to be 4, and the length has to be 5 1/2. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to come back to these measurements in just a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this paper and think, well, I do want a little sky on this. So I'm going to cut a little bit of sky off. But I do want a little bit of sky. But this can only be 4 inches. So now I'm going to turn it, I cut the sky off and I flip it. And now I go to 4 inches because that's exactly what I need. And I'm going to cut the rest of it off. I'm going to cut this off. And the sky, not as important, but I would definitely save this for a card. I might put that on the inside of something or whatever. So I'm going to save that. But now this is what I need. But I need this to be 5 1/2. So I kind of look, I think I want to cut this half off. I mean, I could take a 1/4 inch off of everything of each side, but I'm gonna cut this down to 5 1/2. And I would just throw that one away. So this is what I have left. This is 5.5 by 4. And that's what I need to put on the front of my card for my bay window. But I'm going to cut them up. And I'm going to cut them at 1/4 of an inch. Cut that off. 1 1/4 inch. Cut that off. 1 1/2 inch. Cut that off. Another 1 1/4, cut that off, 1/4, cut that off, and then I'll be left with 1 inch, if I've done all these correctly. So I made this little template thing for you to look at, and I taped it together in the back to show you how this is going to look when you cut it. And this isn't the one I'm going to use today. So I have my 1/4 inch right here, and then my 1 1/4, and then my 1 1/2, then my 1 1/4 again, and then another 1/4, and then I'm left over with a 1 inch. So I'm going to cut this one at those measurements. And I'm going to start by turning it this way to do my 1/4, because it's easier for me to hold on over here and cut my 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to remember to flip it. I got to flip it. Now I'm going to keep these. These are going to kind of be off screen, but I'm going to keep these in order so that I don't forget, because these are going to be put back in order. So now I flipped it, right? Okay, so now the next cut is 1 1/4. So I go to 1 1/4, and I can hold that down a little bit. And I take that, and I'm putting it right next to my 1/4 inch. So I keep these in order. And then I do push it up 1 1/2. Put that in order. And then another 1 1/4. Then 1/4. I think I can do this one. And then I'm left with 1 inch. This is 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch. Now this last inch, just set that to the side for a moment, because it's going to go on the inside of the card. All the rest of those pieces are going to go on the outside of the card. So I'm going to set that one to the side, so I remember that one goes on my inside. And speaking of inside, we're going to work on that right now, because you need to glue down the inside before you start gluing the tops. So I've got all my tops right here, and I have them in order. Don't turn that one over. So they're all in order, and when you put them right together, it makes the whole scene. Now they're going to be separated a little bit on those panels, that bay window panel, but they're going to be separated a little bit, but I need to keep them in order. So those are going to be just setting right up here out of the way while we work on this. So remember, this last inch is going to be attached in here, and I'm going to do that in a little while. I'm not going to do it right now, but it's the part that's the card slides under and hooks on it to make the bay window work. So I don't want to stamp anything over here, but I do want to use a little bit of my prairie grass, and I think I'm going to put sending the healing power of love on the outside, because I'm going to use a circle. And these two would work in the circle. This one would work on the inside. Sometimes life is just hard. Or I could put so very sorry, my shoulder is yours, you're not alone, and I'm here for you. So I'm going to put some smallish prairie grass in here, and I'm going to put You Are Not Alone in here. And I should have put those on blocks earlier. So You Are Not Alone, and my prairie grass. Now I don't really need to use my Stampin' Pierce mat, because these are the thicker rubber stamps, so they've already got a cushion built into them. Okay, so I'm going to put some prairie grass with Pretty Peacock ink, is what I'm using today. I'm using Pretty Peacock ink, which I'm getting on my hands already. We probably want to get that off my hands and off the stamp pad before I touch the paper. And thank you for liking and sharing my video. I'm trying to grow my audience, and I really, really appreciate you guys doing that. So maybe I'm going to put my words first. And I want to be careful with a rubber stamp, especially with words. Do you see how I am catching some edges here? And I don't see my magic little, I use Q-tips usually to do this, but I want to wipe that off of my edges, because I would rather not have those showing. And I'm going to put You Are Not Alone. Great. And I'm going to stamp my prairie grass, and I have a little bit of an edge right there. I'm going to wipe that. Oops, that wasn't good. Making a bigger mess. Okay, and I'm going to put some prairie grass right here. Great. And that was all in Pretty Peacock, which goes with my card. You could do it in black. I mean, you know, whatever colors you want. Like I said, I listed the colors that I used. So now I'm gonna dump my now this goes on the inside. Yep. I'm just going to center this top to bottom, side to side. And I am going to glue this first 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, this 3/8 of an inch. It's going to be like a book binding, and it's going to get glued shut. But I'm going to leave it there for now because I want to start gluing my pieces on. Okay, so I just start with my first one, and I'm going to have a very skinny little border down here. And it works for me to use tweezers to grab it. And I know some people don't like tweezers, but man, tweezers work for me so well. because I have a hard time with that sometimes. So I can get my hands out of the way, because I don't want any of these. I do want these to be even, you know, top to bottom even, so they look like the scene they're supposed to be. And do you see I have these just sitting there in order like this, so I know which one comes next. But of course there's a little space because I'm not putting any DSP on those fold lines, because I need those fold lines to fold, not to. And since I have glue, for me, that works a little better because I have a little wiggle room as I make that. There we go. So you can see I'm not putting tons of glue on this. Now you can emboss these before you put them on, and that would look pretty. I think it would look really pretty to emboss them. Or you could even stick this whole thing in a folder up to the fold mark and emboss the whole thing. That would look pretty. I just didn't do it on this one. You know I love embossing. Love it, love it, love it. And then this is the part, actually this part's not really going to show except when the card is in the envelope and it's not the bay window, it's just closed. So that's how the card looks when it's closed, and it fits in a regular envelope. And we're going to put a centerpiece on there, okay? And I have a couple choices. So I use stylish shapes. I love stylish shapes, and I've linked that below. And I use the second circle and the third circle, not the biggest one. So I use number 2 and number 3. And I cut out a pretty peacock circle, and I cut out a white circle so I could stamp my greeting on here. So I'm going to put the white circle on the pretty peacock circle and have that for my greeting. So just in case I mess it up, you know, hardly ever happens, right? I'm sending the healing power of love. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to put that one on. I'm going to get my pretty peacock ink back out. And there is an up and a down, and you'll notice when you get things that are have stitches on them that there's an up and a down, a top and a bottom. Probably should have cut a few of these. Ah, great. Sending the healing power of love. That looks good. Wow, 3 stamps, 3 victories. That's amazing for me. And I'm just going to put this with glue, which is right here. Yes, it is, right here. Center that. Move it down just a smidge. Oops, a little bit too much of a smidge. There we go. Sending the healing power of love. Now, I have 2 choices here. I cut these leaves, and this set was, until recently, Country Flowers was available, and I think it was on the last chance list and it went out. But I love this set, and I love these leaves because they're just really, they're great for a lot of different things. So I still use that. And that's how I cut these leaves, as using Country Flowers. And you can use these leaves as a little accent if you want. But I have another one, another alternative. Now I'm going to pop this up. I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. And I'm going to put the dimensionals actually in the middle of the card, because that's where I want my sentiment to be. Sending the healing power of love. So you can see, I can start bending this now. You can see that that's going to pop up, okay, when your card's popped up. So this one is going to be folded back. This is going to be a mountain. This is a valley, mountain, mountain. And then this one's going to be a valley. And this one's going to be the one that is the book binding. And I'm going to use my bone folder to really crease this one, because I am going to, you can glue it down. You can use tear and tape to adhere it. But the glue doesn't take but a minute to dry, but I'm going to put a fair amount on there. I don't want it to squish out, but I do want it to really stick. So I'm going to glue this, just this tiny, tiny edge down. And I'm going to press really hard for a minute to get that really adhered, because I want that, when it opens, that is glued down. Okay. Feels like it's adhering already. So my idea is to put a bow on, but I didn't have any pretty peacock. Now I could make a white bow and it would look okay, but the pretty peacock looks a little bit better. So I have pretty peacock Stampin' Blends, and this works better on a satiny ribbon. And right now, I looked online, in our online exclusives, I looked everywhere for satiny ribbon. I cannot find satiny ribbon right now. So I went to Walmart and I got some satiny ribbon, and it takes like 10-11 inches to make this bow. Because I'm going to color it is why I'm cutting it off. I don't usually cut it off when I make bows. I just make the bows on the bow maker and then cut it off. But I'm going to color this. And I put a piece of paper down here, and I've got pretty peacock. I've got light and dark pretty peacock. So that's the dark. It's pretty dark. And this is the light. They're pretty close. They're pretty close. I think I'm going to use the light pretty peacock to dye this ribbon so that I can make it into a bow and put it on the front. Now I certainly like this little sprig of leaves on the card, because it goes with the nature theme, you know, the outdoor theme. It goes really well with it. But I think I want a bow on this one, and I wanted to share with you how I did this. So you take your blends and you have a bullet tip and a brush tip. Now when you use your brush tip, you do not want to use the tip. You want to use the side, and especially when you're coloring. So I'm just going to run this on the whole ribbon, and you see how it dries very quickly because it's an alcohol marker, and it colors very evenly, even though I'm going over it a couple times in some places as I'm coloring the whole ribbon to be pretty peacock. And it's going to match my card. It dries, like I said, it dries quickly. And we are going to have a very pretty ribbon because it's got the silk, the satiny in the middle, and then it has this transparent stuff kind of on the edge of this particular ribbon. I can see I didn't quite get the edge right there. But it colors it, I mean, every time. It colors super evenly, and it looks beautiful, just like I had pretty peacock ribbon, and it colors all the way through, goes in the other side, so that when I tie my bow, it's gonna look great. So I have a bow maker that's easy for me. You just, you can buy these on Amazon, just type in bow maker. You just put it around, you go over, and you go through the bottom, and there's directions that come with them, and over the top, and you tie one knot. And remember, this was like 11 inches long, and there's going to be too much, but you don't want to struggle with a short piece of ribbon to tie a bow. That's why I like to tie bows when it's still on the spool, because then I have as much ribbon as I need and I don't waste ribbon. So there's my pretty bow, and I take my ribbon scissors and I'm just gonna cut this off because I don't want those really long legs on it. And cut it in an angle. Those are just garbage. And I bring my card back in. I am going to use a glue dot. Oh, there's my glue dots. So I'm just going to cut off one hunk of glue dot. And I know you can't see it, but there's a glue dot on this paper. And I just stick my bow right on that glue dot, press really hard, and then pull up kind of gently, releasing from the paper. And I can put my bow on right there, just like that. And that looks really pretty. It matches. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now my 1-inch piece, that's going to be my hooking mechanism over here that I'm going to put down here. Now I made myself this. I made this out of the heavy duty white. I wanted a 5/8 inch measure because I want to know where to put my dimensionals. I want my dimensionals on the back, but I want them on the right side, and I need to leave the left side open so that this can hook into it. So I want them on the right side, so when I flip it over, my right becomes my left, right? And I'm going to use this to measure with. I'm going to lay it down here, and it doesn't matter if you use a pen or a pencil because it's not going to show. I'm just going to grab a pen, and I'm going to make a line because this is going to be the open side. And this is going to be where I put my dimensionals, because remember, that is my right side. And when I flip it over, it's my left side. So I'm going to get some dimensionals. I think I have to open a new package because my other dimensionals are about gone. And I want the square ones, or the ones that are hexagons here, because they work a little bit better on this project, because I want the edges of them, on 3 of them, to hit that line on the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. I want them to hit that line. Now I'm going to put 2 more, but they can be higher. They're just there to support so we don't have sagging. Okay, so yeah, I know that's 5 dimensionals, but that's what I really want on here. So there's no sagging and it holds up. Now you might have to, when somebody gets this card, if they're not familiar with card making, they might not know it's a bay window and then it pops open for display. And you might want to put a little note on a little sticky note on the back that it pops open, and they can stick it under there. And then I just lay this right on the inside, and I've got My dimensionals are underneath, they're on the right side, but the left side is open, so that this little edge that I have, that can fit right under there for my bay window. That can fit right under there, and you might have to crease and bend this just a little bit more to get it to do that, what you want. But it does, it fits under there because you don't have dimensionals on that side. There we go. And so it opens like that. So I made this a sympathy card, but you could make it a happy birthday card. Just make a lovely masculine happy birthday card, you know, or whoever might enjoy the outdoors. One of my daughters, she's really into fishing and, you know, outdoorsy and hiking and stuff, and so I think she might like this card. And then you can stamp an image if you want. You can put a message in here, but this is where you would write. You could put your sticky note with directions on, hey, this is a bay window card, and it stands up for display. Just slip that right in under the left-hand side, and it'll stand up, you know. So anyway, I think it's really, really cute. I'm going to show you a couple other cards I made. I don't think I showed you this one. This is one I did the trees, and I put the leaves on this one with heartfelt sympathy. Maybe I did show you that one. And then I used these trees, and I used the same verse, and we used to have this ribbon, which is one of my favorite ribbons. I do have a few rolls of that, which you can also dye very easily with the blend pens. But I thought on this particular card that the white and silver looked really good. Okay. And then I made one just using the plaid from the Joy, not Everyday Plaid. Oh gosh, I can't remember now. It's the one that has the roses on it and stuff, but I just used the plaid going straight across on this one. And I took my marker and I made kind of dashes and dots on here. I didn't stamp a message. This just says so much joy. And so there's plenty of room for writing, or you could stamp some images or some messages in there. But it's, you know, it's the same thing. Still stands up for display with that little mechanism there. I thought that was really kind of cute. So you can use it with something like this kind of paper too. I mean, most of my examples that I have today are using the Thoughtful Journeys, which I think works out really, really good. And the cards, you can, this is again a versatile fold. You can use it for a lot of different things, but if you have paper like Thoughtful Journey, if you have Thoughtful Journey, it definitely lends itself to this kind of a card. Beautiful Gallery or something, yeah, that's not, I don't have that paper, but it has a lot of images like this in it that work really, really well for this kind of a card. Let me turn my camera up. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll come back next week. I'm going to be sharing my new card kits, and I think I'm going to be doing the little truck cards next week. Tractor cards. There's a really cute tractor set. I have a grandson coming up with a birthday here pretty soon, so we're going to make some John Deere tractors that are, I think he'll like, because he drives a little. He's going to be 8, and he likes to drive his dad's tractor around. So anyway, he's a little farm kid, and I think you'll enjoy that. So that is going to be my plan for next week. I'm still working on that Z-fold thing that I'm going to share that, and maybe a fall card, maybe a Christmas card, but I'm still working on that. But I was out of town last week, and I'm going to be out of town starting tomorrow for the rest of the week. So we'll see. So I'm going to go with the tractors next week because I'm pretty sure I can pull off the tractors. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. If you're choosing me as your demonstrator, I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate your business. I appreciate you supporting my business. I hope that you will like, subscribe, share, all of the things, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and that you will join me again next week. Thank you very much for your time today.